An investigative reporter signed up for an OSHA training class in New York. He walked into a bar, not a conference room, not a training center, a bar. Workers sitting around tables, the instructor stood up, talked for maybe 30 minutes, and then started writing out cards. Pay me this amount of money, here's your card, now you have your permission slip to work. That story ran in the New York Times. The instructor got arrested for falsifying government documents, and every OSHA outreach instructor in the country, including myself, got called in and told, if this ever happens to you, you will be under federal arrest. Now that was years ago. The websites got shinier, the prices got cheaper, but the problem never really went away. I've been in this industry for 35 years. NASA, Port Authority, military installations. I've walked into file cabinets 48 hours before MSHA audits and found nothing. I've watched safety managers who thought they did everything right get destroyed in depositions because their training provider vanished when they needed them the most. Today, I'm walking you through why cheap training certificates are career-ending time bombs, the difference between passing an audit and surviving a deposition, why certificate mills will never back you up when it matters, and the 3 questions every safety manager should be asking before they sign a contract, but almost nobody does. Let me tell you what the New York Times story actually exposed and why the same problem is still sitting in your file cabinets right now. New York's buildings were shedding their facades. Bricks were falling, pedestrians dying. The city mandated OSHA 30-hour and 10-hour training for construction workers on these projects. A reporter thought it was a great safety initiative, signed up to see what the training looked like, walked into the bar, workers sat at tables, the instructor talked for 30 minutes about requirements that they had to follow, and then started signing cards and handing them out. Pay me, here's your card, now you can work. When the New York Times published that story, OSHA cracked down hard. That instructor faced federal charges for falsifying government documents. Every authorized outreach instructor got retrained and warned, this is not a permission slip to work. This is education. This is meant to make people safer. And if you hand out certificates without doing the work, you will be prosecuted. It tightened everything down. The outlines got locked. The accountability got serious. But here's what didn't change. The mindset that training is just a permission slip to work. That's still out there. It just moved online. It got cheaper. It got faster. And now instead of a guy in a bar signing cards, you've got a website charging $6 per certificate, running workers through PowerPoint and generating a PDF with an officially looking logo. Same problem, different interface. And when you need that company to show up for a deposition, when a federal investigator or a family attorney asks, who signed that certificate? And what was actually being taught? They're gone. You're talking to a center that doesn't know who the trainer was, what the content was, or how to defend it. That's not a training provider. That's a marketing company selling permission slips. Most safety managers think compliance means passing the inspection. Here's what it actually means when the stakes are real. Passing an audit is checking the box. You show the inspector some certificates, maybe a written program or two. They find a few things for you to work on. You fix them, you move on. You have control. You can be prepared. You can manage the conversation. I call something like that the kangaroo review. It's child's play compared to what comes next. Surviving a deposition is a totally different story. That's 1.5 to 2 years full of nothing but worry. Settlement conversations you have no control over, sitting across from an attorney who's being paid to find everything in your documentation that's wrong, and then going to ask you the same question 7 different ways over 4 days. In an audit, maybe you get a citation, you correct it, you move on. In a deposition, when you're looking at the aftermath of a serious injury or fatality, when there's blood on the floor, when the ambulance has already pulled away, every last word you say matters. And the decision comes down to a judge or an arbiter who's going to weigh in every piece of documentation you have. And your insurance company, they're watching too. If they see that you failed to maintain proper training documentation, they're going to drop you, or they're going to raise your premiums. So you've passed an audit. Congratulations. You've graduated kindergarten. Now the question is whether you're ready for the doctoral defense, because if something goes wrong, that's where you're going to end up. Here's why the company selling your $6 training certificate will never be there when you need them. And it's not just that they disappear. The fundamental problem with most online compliance training companies is simple. They break it down into these like little nuggets of knowledge versus the cost and the people in the chairs. How many people do you have? How many chairs do we have to fill? Okay, look how cheap we are, $6 a person for a certificate. And the people creating those training modules, they're not experienced safety professionals. They might have some educational knowledge or background or something that gives them the ability to create a test of a PowerPoint that they created. They run the workers through, ask some questions at the end, and generate a certificate. But they don't know the culture of the work. They don't know the difference between the high steel worker and somebody laying concrete. They just don't know. Those are completely different types of people with completely different types of cultures. If you don't know the difference, you don't know how to reach them. You don't know how to teach them. And when you try to call these companies, when you need them to stand behind their training, you're talking to a call center that doesn't know who the trainer was, what was covered, or how they answer the federal investigators' questions. You're not talking to a safety trainer. You're talking to a marketing company that happens to generate certificates. I've seen this play out. A large MRO company, maintenance, repair, and operations sales equipment company, we've got a call from their mining client saying, hey, salespeople need to have 24-hour MSHA training. Well, that corporate safety director called me and he said, no, we don't need the training. These are salespeople. They're not miners. They just sell parts on a mine site. We don't mine. I told him, you do need to look at the miner's trifold brochure, and it defines what a miner is, and that your people in this case are miners. He disagreed and didn't get the training. Well, 2 weeks later, the entire company got kicked off of that site. And they didn't even just lose that money. They lost like 2 years of sales there, millions of dollars that they could have been making if they were able to be on those mine sites. He accused me of calling the MSHA and reporting them like I needed to prove myself. Well, I didn't. But that's just what happens when you don't have the training you're supposed to have. It catches up with you every time. Your odds of seeing an MSHA inspector are 100%. You're not going to get away with it. If you're watching this and you're realizing you can't answer the questions a deposition attorney would be asking about your training documentation, you're not alone. Most safety managers can't, and that's what CSEM is here for. We step in, we audit your files, deliver your training, and when things go sideways, we stand beside you. No payroll, no long-term commitments. The link's in the description below. Let's talk before you really do need us. Most safety managers ask 2 questions when hiring a trainer provider. How much does it cost? And how fast can you deliver? Those are tactical questions. You need strategic ones. There's a big difference between tactics and strategy. Tactics are the moves that you make in the field in response to what you see. But strategy is what you build before you go in. You sit down and you review the game film. You look at the work path. You plan for what could happen. And part of that strategy is knowing what to demand from your vendors before you hire them. 3 non-negotiable questions. Number 1 is 2 parts. Do you have professional and general liability insurance? And can you add us as additionally insured on that policy? If they say yes, ask for the certificates. If they hesitate, walk away. Number 2, if we have a regulatory concern, an OSHA or an MSHA audit, an investigation, will you be there with us to stand behind the training that you provided? Will they sit in that room and answer the questions about what they taught and why? If the answer is no, or they dodge the question, they're not the fractional safety partner you're looking for. They're a vendor who will vanish. Number 3, will you be available at a deposition if it comes to that? And can I get all of this in writing? Desired outcomes have to be documented. You have to know what you're getting before you buy. Get the answers in writing or they mean nothing. An educated buyer is a good buyer. You don't want to hire someone because they're cheap and they have a shiny website. You want to hire someone who will be standing next to you when the water gets hot. And guess what? It's going to get hot. And the safety managers who survive those moments are the ones who build their strategy before the incident happens, not after. 97% of the training purchase orders I receive, over $50,000, come from companies training after a serious accident or worse. They always come back. It's just they come back after it's already too late to undo the damage. Don't be that company. Building the strategy before you need it. Ask the right questions before you sign, and make sure whoever you hire is going to pick up the phone when everything goes sideways, because shortcuts cut lives short, and the file cabinet that isn't tight today is going to be the one that buries you tomorrow. If this video hit home, the full story behind why I built CSEM and why I've spent 35 years fighting this problem is in one place. It's called The Certificate Won't Save You. What safety training companies won't tell you before someone dies on your watch. Everything I showed you today, that's the surface. The video goes all the way to the root. I'll link it right here. Go watch it. I'll see you there.